First, I have to open this up.
Yeah.
I'm betting it looks like that.
It does, except this is a women's cut.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't get you a women's cut.
I actually bought a shirt once at a concert that gave me the girls' version of it. And it was really tight, like right here.
Yeah.
Like all around the ribs. It was really strange.
That's the women's cut.
Well, thank you very much for this.
Yeah.
Let's see. People are like, you don't wear medium. You're too big. I'm like, no, seriously.
I debated on the medium
Thank you
versus
very
the large.
much.
Yeah.
I like large, but when I was in junior high, I used to wear large and it would go down to here. And I was too embarrassed for my body, even though it was like 70 pounds. I'm like, what the hell was I ashamed of? So thank you.
You're welcome.
That is super cool. I'm going to go see you guys very soon. I saw you one time already, so. Do you remember that gig? I forgot where it was
Yes,
at.
it was at Nordic, and it was the second time we had done Mind Crime start to finish.
That's right, Nordic
Couldn't
Brewery.
hear ourselves. I think it was the last time with our drummer Johnny. So we have a new drummer now who's actually obsessed with Queensryche, like completely
good.
obsessed. So that's the kind of guy you want. Not that Johnny was great. You're great, Johnny.
Uh-oh. So is it weird, though, to have somebody in a tribute band that doesn't really go too deep in the music, or?
Well, that was me.
Oh, was it?
Originally it was. I knew exactly 3 Queensryche songs of them.
But you did the homework afterwards.
I
You're
did
like,
the
I have
homework.
to
Now
do
I'm
this.
obsessed.
Okay.
Because I feel like if you're paying tribute to a band, you should really know a lot about them, because the people who come to see you
Yeah.
are going to know everything.
Yeah. They're going to ask you those nerd questions. Like, are you ever going to play this off of their demo from 1972? You're like,
Yep.
sorry, I've never heard of that before.
And Jeff Tate actually asked me the questions too.
Really? Like to
Yes.
test you?
Well, I did the meet and greet after he was in town.
He did the
last
name
month.
3 songs trick?
Well, I wore this shirt
Yeah.
and I said, hey, I paid the $100, right? And they were very generous with their time, actually.
That's good.
It wasn't just like sign this and move on. And I said, I'm in a Queensryche tribute. And he said, oh, that's really neat. And he said, so what albums do you cover? And I either freeze or I just talk a lot.
Yeah.
And so I did a really awkward combination of both.
Did you have a few drinks before you met him? Because that would have helped.
I think I had like 1.
Okay.
I didn't have enough.
Just enough to get started, yeah.
Just
Yeah,
enough
okay.
to get. I had a carbless or something.
Oh, okay.
And he said, "What albums do you cover?" And so I just started rattling off. I'm like, "Well, we do this number from the EP. We do a few from the Warning. We do about half of this. We're trying to get more Rage for Order." And then when I got done and we got done with the niceties and got some pictures and whatever, and I walked away and I'm walking to the car going, I should have told him Promised Land. We are doing stuff off of Promised Land. And
I wonder if he's waiting to hear that.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope not.
She's
So
not gonna
Jeff,
say Promised Land.
if you ever watch this, we do stuff off of Promised Land. So.
Yeah, you told me that right away, because that's one of my favorite Queensryche albums, actually.
Yeah.
Which is weird because, I don't know, that one gets lost a lot in people's minds.
It's kind of like a lot of movies where upon original release, it got kind of a wah-wah reception because they were
Yeah.
expecting another Empire,
Yep.
right? And in true Queensryche fashion, they're doing things completely differently, album to album. They have a different identity for each album.
Definitely.
And so I think people, the masses, the populace, were expecting it. They didn't get it. And so now it's years later, and I do talk to Queensryche fans, and especially knowing that we're in a tribute, and they're just like, Promised Land, man, it's just underrated and one of the best. And I'm a part of a lot of Queensryche fan groups because I
Okay.
like to see what they talk about
Yeah.
and things. So, yeah.
So you stay on top of what people want,
Yeah.
and what they're saying.
Yeah.
Something about Promised Land is so epic, just from the very beginning of that album.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, okay, this is definitely like a step above production-wise to anything they've
For
ever done.
sure.
And the songs are really solid. I wonder if it's just, I don't want to say too epic in a weird way, because Empire is pretty damn epic.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it just didn't have the hits. Like, they didn't push them on the radio like they did
No.
with the other albums. Because it was, 94 when it came out?
Yeah, I think so. And I thought it was interesting that they chose I Am I as one of the lead-off singles, where I thought, wow, boy, that timing and just sort of the dissonant sort of
Yeah.
Eastern
Yeah, that's
kind
true.
of flavor to it. I thought that was a really interesting choice as a lead-off single. I would have chosen something else like Someone Else
Yeah.
or Bridge, or something that had more of a standard, something that coming off of Empire that the masses would still gravitate toward.
Yeah, to like have a bridge to the new stuff,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Eastern stuff was really cool in the song, but it's almost like releasing a George Harrison song first on a
Yes,
Beatles album.
yes.
Which is good on Abbey Road, but the older stuff, when he was really into the, sitars and all that stuff, I don't think it would have flown.
Yeah, it was a little esoteric and if you think about what was happening in music at that time too.
That's true. Maybe that's why they did do it, because they thought,
Yeah.
alternative, grunge, and all that stuff's huge. We might as well throw out some curveball at everybody.
Yeah, and that could be, and that's a very Queensryche. When you look at Rage for Order, when that came out, it's like, holy moly, what is that about?
Yeah.
Because Warning to me and the EP the EP was very Iron Maiden-esque. When I think of the song Queen of the Reich,
Definitely,
that's just an
yeah.
Iron Maiden, straightforward, screamer kind of fun.
Yep.
And then they got a little bit more, Prophecy Deliverance off of the Warning was more standard, but then they would do Roads to Madness, which is like this 10-minute odyssey of insanity. And then Rage for Order came out, and it was so produced. I don't even know, and as a guitarist, maybe you know this, screaming in digital. That was one question I meant to ask Jeff Tate, and I didn't ask. I said, I wanted to ask him, how do you sing to that on your timing?
Sure.
Because that is like the craziest timing.
I don't know. Some of those guys are way more technical inside than we think sometimes.
Yeah.
Like I'll watch a guy sing, sometimes Dream Theater or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like they don't have to even count. They just
No.
feel it right. So maybe he's got that internal, musician inside.
It's crazy. And there's overlapping vocals and there's
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff going on.
It
So-
also could be, when you're in the studio recording and you don't realize how hard it's going to be live. So maybe there's
Yeah.
that weird middle ground where you're out of the studio, but you have to go tour and you're like, God, we better practice in the tour bus because that's going
Yeah.
to get me every time. Have you done original music before where you write something and then you have to go out and play it and it's a whole different world basically?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I have. But,
that weird?
I write kind of very basic.
Yeah.
Basic. It's not Queensryche. It's very basic stuff.
But
So,
you're still
yeah.
taking it from your basement, let's say, or the studio to the stage. And it's always a weird thing. How are
It's a
people going to
transition.
react to this? And
Yeah. One of the projects I just got done doing.
because you're in 30 projects.
30
We
projects.
should let people know.
Yeah. This most recent one is the vocalist for Rise Above Instinct, which is American symphonic metal, something
Yeah.
I never thought I'd touch.
Very interesting.
And all of a sudden it's gotten some, and I hope Chad doesn't mind me speaking this, but he is a writer and instrumentalist. He does all the instruments, and he's out of Indiana, and he just got a call from Warner because they want to connect him with an A&R rep
Wow.
to do some coaching and stuff. And he's already got a couple thousand Spotify followers, which for an original music out in amongst the noise is really incredible. And he's like, so do you want to continue doing this? And I said, sure. And he's like, what if we have to perform it at some point? And I'm
Whoa.
like, oh my gosh, I don't know, because it's so much.
Are they like a nationwide type thing? Do they tour already? Or
No.
they're just starting?
Just starting.
Oh,
Just start. It's
okay.
a guy out of his home with all this beautiful equipment, just like you have. And he's like, he messaged me and he's like, can you give me some stuff for the website? I think I need to make a website now. And
Wow, some
so it's
ground level
it's-
stuff.
I'm terrified of actually touring that if that ever happens.
Yeah,
but
it could just take off. And then,
Yeah.
would you have to just put all your bands on hold or what would you do?
I don't
Maybe you
know.
shouldn't think that too far
I'm not
ahead.
going to think that far ahead because
Yeah, take it as it comes.
he and I both just said, let's do this project. It'll be fun.
Yeah. So, but it already caught a lot of ears, obviously. And if Warner's talking to them, that's huge.
Yeah, and this gal, a YouTuber who's in Latin America, who's got about 324,000 followers, is going to do a reaction video to
Oh,
it.
that's good.
This month, 2 of the songs. So we're like, okay, brace for impact, whatever
Yeah.
that might be. So yeah,
That's the thing. You never know what's going to actually do the, just turn the tides or what do they call that? It's just
capture
like,
the zeitgeist.
Yeah, it could be from the most unlikely place that somebody heard you through this guy and this happened. And that's how Heartless actually ended up opening for Warrant. They played somebody's basement party. And I was out of the band at the time because I took a break for a while. And all of a sudden, this guy out of nowhere came up. He's like, you want to play this thing this summer? And they're like, sure. And by the way, Warrant is headlining. It's like, oh, okay.
Oh, sure.
I had no idea.
Again,
So the
yeah.
tipping point can be in the weirdest places. you
Yeah,
know,
just random. And of course, nothing may happen after that, but it was still fun
Yeah.
while that lasted, right? Yeah.
That's cool. So I'm trying to count all your projects because
Yeah.
Queen of the Reich I know you the most from, but I think the first time I saw you, you opened for Heartless in a different band or something.
No, you know what? I've been with Sugarbuzz, which is kind of the cover party rock
Yeah.
one, and that's where most people know me from. And so I've been with them for over a decade.
Oh wow.
And we just started getting more popular. We don't have any agent representation. We just do our own thing
That's good.
because we want to play when we want to play.
No 15% going out the door.
Yeah, on occasional things, but
Okay, yeah.
so that was it. And then when Queen of the Right came, I said, well, I want to do something completely different. I don't want to do another. And so I said, oh, I can take on, and they don't play that often because
Sure.
it's. And then I have.
Did you realize though what you were in for? Because that's quite a thing to
I
tackle.
almost said no at first
Okay.
because I said I know exactly 3 Queensryche songs,
Yep.
and I listened to a few more, and I'm like, I'm never going to get this. This will never happen. And then
Was it like a challenge though? Because
Yes.
that could be fun too.
That's why I took it.
Yeah.
After thinking on it for a while, I'm like, yeah, I think you should do this. And it was really fun. And then I get kind of really into it and kind of obsessed. And then I'm like, I want to know everything. I
Yeah.
want to know everything about this band, about how they write, I would watch old MTV interviews. And so now I'm really into it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird to see their phases from the early days. Like
Yeah.
I really hear, like you said, Maiden and Judas Priest and their old
Yes,
stuff. You're just
yes.
like, were they like a tribute band or something? And then, especially the Priest stuff, I really hear that in the voice. But
Yeah.
the music, I hear Maiden. So they're the perfect blend of that. Then they found their own footing. You know, like you said,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
like after the Warning, it's almost like Rage became their turning point in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're like, we can actually expand and be a little bit different.
Yeah.
But to me, like Empire will always be Empire, and
Mindcrime, probably.
I'd say Mindcrime. That's kind of when I got into them, so they're always like that's going to be in my heart. But I really respect Promised Land. The first time I got into Queensryche, I found a cassette at the state fair on the ground, and it had a crack in it.
Oh, perfect.
It was for Mindcrime. So I brought it home and I put it in my mom's expensive tape player back then.
Yeah.
And it got eaten up because it was broken. And so inside I was always hungry for learning what that album was all about.
Yeah.
So I
And
think
a
there was a
concept
void.
album.
Yeah, exactly. But after that, I mean, Eyes of a Stranger was always on MTV and that got huge. So was that one of the songs you knew before you joined
yes,
the band?
it was. It was.
Were there like the 3 hits, like Silent Lucidity?
It was Silent Lucidity. I think I actually randomly knew Another Rainy Night,
Really? Okay.
even though that I don't even know if that was ever released as a single. I just heard it somewhere.
I think it was because
Okay.
they had some unlikely singles off that album. It was just like weird. They used to be on like 93X.
Okay, and that's probably where I heard it. But then I started, the other band members who were really into Queensryche are like, we should do this song and this song. So I'd go home and I would look it up and I'd be like, oh my God, this is going to be difficult.
Yeah.
And I'm writing out parts too for another vocalist because we do have a backing vocalist who can sing very high.
Yep.
And so we're trying to, okay, you do this part, I'll do this. And now the drummer we have also sings. So
That
we
works.
can get a 3-part in there because that's another thing they're known for aside from wacky time signatures and really produced.
Yep.
They did a lot of vocal layering, and we try and now replicate that as close as we can.
Did the original lineup of Queensryche do all that live as well? Because I know DeGarmo had like the Garth Brooks microphone. on
Yeah,
his face.
DeGarmo was the backup singer, and
Okay.
he could sing high. I saw Screaming in Digital, a video of Screaming in Digital, and it was actually Eddie,
Oh,
the
weird.
bassist, doing a lot of the vocals, the layering for that particular song.
Really?
So yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah,
I
me
was really
too.
surprised.
I
I'm
didn't
like,
realize he sang. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that bass drum combo of that band always just stuck with me. Because there's a song in Promised Land, I think it's the song Promised Land, where the
Okay,
bass
yeah.
and the drums just lock together. I'm like, that is a solid rhythm section. Like, it's like Rage Against the Machine level, just
Yeah.
tight. And then they have all the rest of the aspects the band has. I really hope they get back together someday and do a final tour. That's
would
my prediction.
That would be lovely. We did end up learning a what I call a Todd era song.
Okay.
We Behind the Walls, and it's 4/4 time, but it sounds very different because of the drumming's quite complex.
Okay.
And so you're just kind of counting along with it. So, because we wanted to say, hey, we acknowledge that the new lineup is quite good. I've seen the new lineup. I have tickets to see them again,
Really?
July 26th. So I saw Jeff Tate this year, and I'll see Queensryche with Todd.
Cool. It's
Yeah.
like visiting both your divorced parents.
Yeah, that's
It's like
exactly it.
Going to mom's every other weekend. Yeah, it's weird to see bands do that and then sort of have to decide like which side is my favorite. So I always ask people, I know it depends on the group, but like, would you rather see the instruments without the singer, or would you go see the singer with a whole nother group? Which one would you prefer to go to?
Yes.
Both, yeah.
Both. I saw Queensryche with Todd first. And, of course, one thing I'll never see, and I've never seen, was with Chris DeGarmo. And I know that he was a very important ingredient for the writing and a lot of the vocalizations.
Almost the nucleus at one point.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'll never get to see that, but I've seen now both.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate them for what they are. I mean, Jeff was in great voice when I saw them at the Varsity.
That's what I hear, yeah.
He was absolutely, and you could tell he called an audible at the end. So they do Mind Crime, and then they do Mind Crime 2, a select few from there, and then just some other songs. And I was watching, because again, I'm obsessed. I was watching on Setlist FM to see what the setlist was. And right before, so I'm like, yeah, that song. And all of a sudden he pulls out Queen of the Reich at the very end.
Really?
And I'm like, that was not on anybody's set list. And I kind of saw him looking around. So I think he was like, hey, I'm feeling good. Let's just rip this one out.
Were you wearing that T-shirt?
I was.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah. So I was.
We got to play it.
I was in the nosebleeds.
Were you?
At the Varsity.
It's like, hey, you.
Yeah.
Was that the show that you met him afterwards?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I paid the money. He spent a goodly amount of time. He didn't just shuffle us through.
I love it when you know somebody actually cares.
Yeah, and he could have just, because I would have been exhausted.
Yeah.
They played straight through. I was sweaty. He was sweaty. They were sweaty. And they made 20 minutes to freshen up or whatever. The whole band came out, and
That's
they were
great.
just the nicest people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you which one of their tunes is the hardest to sing. Not necessarily the highest. Maybe that's why it's the hardest, but.
There's a couple. I would say Take Hold of the Flame is one of those, just because you're up in the stratosphere the entire time and you want to make it sound very commanding, and you're holding a lot of long notes.
I love that song.
It's a great song.
I didn't catch on to that song till way later when I got Spotify. And I just let it run the whole time. And that song just kept catching to me. I'm just like, there's something special about that tune.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I went back and realized that was a big song for them. Actually, a lot of people did like it when it first came out.
Yeah. You see some videos from like when they're touring Tokyo or
that's the
something
one I
like
saw.
that.
Yeah. Everybody knows the words.
Yeah. Everybody knows the words. That one's difficult to get right, or, to feel confident or sound confident. I think Spreading the Disease can be difficult because Dale he actually will take the melody line during the chorus, and I take the higher part.
Okay.
So I'm way up in the stratosphere for the whole song. Jeez. But I really enjoy that one because that's a fun one.
Yeah.
And then Queen of the Reich, I think I love doing that one, but you're starting with, and oftentimes we will end a show with that one.
I was going to say, that's a great one to end with.
Yeah, we'll either start it or end it depending on where we are in the lineup for the night. But if we want people to stay, we're going to start with it.
So are you guys at a point now where, like you said, you couldn't really hear yourselves at that one show, and you still sounded really great? I forgot how long you guys have been together.
Since February of 23.
Okay, so fairly recently.
Yeah, and we only play like 8 or 9 shows a year. So we came off this last show. We were partnered with the Judas Priest band Hellion at Route 47. And we came off, you always make little mistakes, but we felt so confident. And I could see from the videos that we took that we're moving around, we're relaxed. Like, we've gelled really as a band.
Yeah.
And it's just fun to see now, because now we're adding an acoustic set. We're going to do like a half-hour acoustic set just to try it out, just to add it as flavor.
Yeah.
And
make it a full, complete show.
Yeah, make it a full, complete show. We've got about 2 hours of material, roughly.
Jeez.
I don't know that we'd ever do 3 hours. We'd probably learn 3 hours, but I don't know that anybody wants to see 3 hours of any one particular band.
I hear ya.
We like partnering with other bands.
That's a good idea. Heartless did 3 hours a few times.
I believe that. I believe that.
It's like, why? It's like we're playing Ziggy's for 3 hours, and by the end, you're just playing songs that, you're just making them up. Like, yeah, this is a hard song.
This is totally a hard song.
That sounds like Louie Louie. No, I swear to God. But it was weird. Like, we're digging so deep to just get that many
Yeah.
tunes. And then we'd repeat a few because people still wanted to hear like Magic Man twice or whatever.
Yes.
So
And I finally learned Magic Man with the Trilogy Band. We do a
Really?
little bit of Heart. We do a little Heart.
that's a tricky
thing.
one.
It is a tricky one, but
Like,
it's
why are you
good.
doing this 5 times? There's like a 5-time, like the riff. And then you
Yes.
come in, and then the second time it's this.
It's structural. It's not vocally difficult. It's structurally. That's
very
the
scary.
70s. That is
Yeah,
the 70s.
it's the drugs writing.
It's all the drugs.
I
It's
just did a
all the
show with somebody. It was a different Heart tribute band.
drugs. Okay.
And the singer was like throwing it off by one measure because she
Oh,
wasn't
no.
totally on top of it. And we had to follow her. We couldn't just keep going.
Oh.
And it became this like nightmare for me. I was just like, I'm so used to Carrie. I'm so used to
Yeah,
like,
oh,
the
yeah.
band
She's
that
so
we're used to.
solid.
Yeah. So she's like not like a robot, but if she learns something, it's going to be
It's
that
going to
way.
be exact. And well, I think too, when you gel with bandmates, even when they make mistakes, you kind of know what
Yeah.
mistakes they're going to make, and
It's
you
that
can
sixth
just
sense that you have with people.
roll with it. And I remember I came in on another rainy night. I'm like, oh shoot, I went 2 choruses in the first thing, and everybody just rolled with it. They're just like, okay, well, I guess we're just going to do
Yeah,
what she
that's
does.
good. That's
Threw
good.
off our track because we use the tracks. Because Empire in particular had a lot of sounds and people
Samples
saying
and all that.
things
Right.
and stuff. So that was off. I'm like, oh shoot.
That's always a nightmare when you have tracks and you're just like, I know we're one measure off. Here we go. The first time, sorry to keep talking about Heartless, we didn't have Nancy on keys. So Jim was basically triggering off of a drum pad for the Magic Man keyboard.
Yeah,
part. Yeah, he hit it too late, and the doo-doo-doo-doo-doo came out, and we all just laughed. The whole crowd laughed with us because we're like, sorry, we're going to get a keyboard
Oops.
player eventually, but it's embarrassing. But with tracks, is it your drummer basically work with a click and just you guys
we
follow?
all hear the click.
Oh, okay.
We all
In-ear
hear the
type thing.
click, and we're in ear, and I didn't think I'd like a click. I'd never played with a click before, but I actually really like it.
Yeah, after you
especially
get
with that
used to
kind
it.
of music, and because you get in a groove, because it's easy to take off with the tune
Sure.
and go too fast or too slow, particularly when you're excited. So to just settle in,
Yeah.
to be able to do that, that's kind of neat. So
It's weird when everybody's adrenaline's going.
Yes.
And then the click starts, you're like, is it really that slow?
yes, it feels
Like, oh,
completely
okay.
slow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very strange perception thing.
It is.
The first time I ever used to click, we just had a drummer have a click in his ear, and we followed him.
Okay.
So we were at his mercy, basically.
Yeah,
And if
yeah.
we screwed up, he would just rip it out of his ear and shut off the click. We would
Yeah, and
finish
just
the
go.
tune, which is tough for the dance tunes.
Yeah,
'cause you need a
well,
lot of those.
we have our, what is it, your emergency landing
Yeah.
kind of thing, because Aaron, one of our guitarists, controls the tracks, and he's like, if something gets off, just go over here and hit that button, just let it, just
Like kill
stop
it?
it, just
Oh,
kill it, just
cool.
kill it, so that we can continue.
Get through it, yeah.
We haven't, as complicated as that music is, we haven't train wrecked really hard.
Okay.
We've made some mistakes and went, ooh. I think our hardest song with all the tracks, because you have to get it on a Sweet Sister Mary.
Yeah.
With all the Gregorian.
God, that one's so
choruses.
involved. Yeah.
So involved.
Crazy.
So that's the last one our new drummer learned, because
Yeah.
we say, okay, here's our set list right now, and that was the last one. That was the last kid picked to play on the team. And he's
That's
just
pretty
like, it's
gutsy, though.
fine.
I'm thinking of all these odd time signatures, and the click has to follow. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, but that's the challenge of it too. When you get musicians who are like, "I'm down for the challenge," like, throw something at me.
Yep.
That was
It's so
cool.
common these days too. So I'm just waiting. I think they have like in Ableton, you could do that where you could jump the click to like a different section.
Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah.
And I'm like, that would be a lot. You'd almost need like a really good sound guy or somebody to like
Yeah.
be on the commands or the controls. But
And speaking of which, because Queen of the Reich music is so, I'm just going to say specific, we have a sound person who comes
That's
to
good.
all our gigs, and he runs us every single time because he knows how to balance the 2 lead guitars. He knows when Dale's doing the one singing and
that's
I'm doing
so
the
priceless.
It is, and we didn't think we needed it until we had a terrible sound experience, and
Yep.
then we said never again.
Yep.
Because you work so hard, right?
know.
You work so hard, you practice, and then you hear it live, and you're just like, this is absolute garbage.
You have to hit that never again level to
Yes.
finally just be like, no, we have to pay somebody that is professional and
Yes.
knows our stuff. That happened one time. We played a whole show, 3-hour show. And at the very end, somebody comes up and goes, by the way, we couldn't hear your guitar all night. And I was like, first of all, you could have told me earlier. But second of all,
All night.
fuck this. We're going to switch stuff up.
Yeah.
We're going to, get my friend Chris to come in. And Carrie and Jim were like, do we really need a sound guy? I'm like, yes, let's just try it for a few months and see what happens. And it's been like night and day.
Yeah.
So when they know, like you said, when the two guitars are harmonizing together, you have to have it at a certain level and then bring it down and all that stuff. It's
And
so
the keys are
invaluable.
up, and then the tracks are here,
Yeah.
and then, you know, there's balancing. And it kind of has to be, particularly in a tribute, not so much in a top 40 or rock cover band, is somebody who's really into the music as well.
That does help, yeah.
Who appreciates, okay, this is Queensryche. This is kind of how it should sound. You know,
You go to a live show and you see a light tech or a sound tech that really knows what
Yes.
they're doing,
Yes.
and they're like hitting the hits with the band. You're just like, this is a professional level right here.
Yes.
You're right though. With some other cover bands, it's not as imperative, but I'm sort of a perfectionist. I would
Well,
love it if they could.
I will
still
say at Sugarbuzz, Sugarbuzz did for the first time, we did Metallica's, you know, Enter Sandman, and it's kind of funny because we're more pop, and so nobody expects it. So I've got a Vox box that gives like a low growl to it. So I hit the stomp box, and we were at a festival in Nisswa a couple of years ago, and the sound crew we'd not worked with before, we didn't know anything, but they heard the song, and the lighting tech, I can't remember her name, but she started doing the strobe right when it kicked in, just like the
Perfect.
video.
Cool.
And we were all freaking out on stage because like she knows the video.
Nice.
And it was just like the best experience. They knew the song, they knew how the video was shot, so
That's
that
what I mean.
they could layer that in, and it was fantastic.
I don't know if people don't realize how carrying is such a big thing. You know, like I put out these
It's
videos
100%.
about bands just butchering songs and
Yeah.
not even caring. And there's always a guy who's like, who gives a shit what the kick drum pattern's doing? I'm like, sometimes that's the whole feel of the tune. I'm like, am I just autistic or what? Why? What's going on that nobody seems to care? And then they wonder
yeah.
why cover bands get a bad rap sometimes.
Yes, and we try to replicate. We just got our guitarist over to, can I say the brand name? Kemper.
Yeah.
And he had this cobbled together thing of pedals that was larger than this table. But because he
pedal board.
wanted the exact sound. If we were doing a Boston song, he wanted that sound. If we
Especially
were
Boston,
doing
yeah.
a Heart song, he wanted that sound. And we said, we can get that sound. We can do that for you. But it is about caring. I mean, we try and work, okay, we're listening to the harmonies. Okay, how do those sound? And, you know, it's not going to be exact, but caring, I mean, we want to get it as close as you
I
can.
love that. And, you know, people think it means being so super anal to where everything has to be like the album. I'm like, no, because in different situations, you could just chill and
Yeah,
have fun.
yeah.
But when people wonder why their band isn't getting higher up on the levels, but then they don't care if the bass line's right, I'm just like, that
Yes.
might be, you know, don't complain if you're down here, if you're not willing to do the stuff it takes to get up there.
And that's the intricacies. And I think with bands, whether tribute or top 40, I've got a couple original music projects like the Rise Above Instinct and Blue Rain, and I'm going to have a new cover project called the BETH Project. coming
Really?
out.
Where you play Megadeth?
No, it's actually Rock on the Edge. It's songs that people are familiar with, but you don't ever hear live. So like 10,000 Lovers from TNT,
Oh, I see.
something from Hailstorm.
So like deeper cuts.
I would say deeper cuts, Stage Fright by Def Leppard. But,
Nice.
you know, it's just on the edge, right? On the edge of recognizability. Sometimes it's because it's technical. Sometimes it's just because people just don't think to cover it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not meant as a huge project. And we're meant to open for other bands and just have fun. It's a passion project. So it's kind of a super group.
I kind of get what you're going for. So someone in the audience would be like, where have I heard this before?
Yeah.
Oh, this is cool live.
Yeah. Wait, who does this song? I know this song.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Saigon Kick.
Right.
I mean, some of those, I'm trying to think of who else. Evanescence.
A lot of bands get buried over time. You're just like,
Yeah.
no, there's still some gems in there that we just kind of forgot
And
about.
we pull out some Triumph.
That'd be
You
nice.
know, so
Yeah.
we're going to have a couple Triumph, a couple White Snakes, you know, just a nice amalgamation. But I don't know where I was going with this. It was about caring. I know
Yes.
it was about caring.
Caring does help.
Oh, I was going to say too, regardless of the band that you're in, I think it's a professional courtesy to your bandmates. When you're being critical and saying, hey, I think the riff actually goes like this, and you're not with me on bass, I need you to be here. It's not that we're saying you suck as a player. It's all meant to, we need to sound better than this. We can sound better than this. And I think true professionals know, oh, this isn't personal. I want to put out a really good product.
Yeah.
So I'll stand there, while these two are working it out, and that's just part of the process to gel as a band. And
thinking of the whole picture, not just the person.
And sometimes of course you're rehearsing on your own, but sometimes you're rehearsing in subgroups too. We have guitar summits where the guitarists are just getting together and doing guitar stuff, so that when everybody shows up, they've kind of got it framed out.
I love how you say, of course you're practicing on your own.
Of course.
When it's not the case almost ever my whole life. People think rehearsal is practice, and they show up, they're like, oh, I got to get the tab for that real quick. I'm like, dude, you had 2 weeks. What is your I go mental.
I go mental too. And it's nice working with people who are professionals, because you're expected to come rehearsed.
Yeah.
You're expected to come, okay, maybe I have a couple words that I need to brush up, but it's more about the gelling with each other. That's what you're spending the time doing, going, oh, I thought this comes in here, or we have to finesse an ending because we have the 80s fade out.
Yeah, we got to figure that out together.
Yeah.
Stuff,
Yeah.
I could just see people watching going, God, these two sound like dictators. I would never want to be in a band with them.
No.
I actually have to practice and know my part.
I know. But it's so much easier though when you come to rehearsal. It's so efficient. And one of my bands, we have dinner after, like at 10 o'clock at night. We're chilling, we're taking care of business because
it's been taken care of. You could go have fun afterwards. Yeah. Some people want to make the whole thing dinner, like they just want it to be a hangout and a party. But there's times to do that, other times not to. The problem though because I've experienced many different types of musicians, is that a lot of them are very emotional, and that's what makes them great musicians.
Good. Yeah.
But that could also stop them from being, a team player when it comes to getting things right. So you have to kind of walk on eggshells, and I never want to be in a band again where I have to do that. I hate that feeling.
It's difficult. It's so important to be able to gel as a band. You won't be successful. You won't be around if you can't get past the feels. And musicians are weirdos. I mean, totally. I'm a weirdo. You're a weirdo. We're all just weirdos in a different way.
Otherwise, we'd be accountants, right? No, I'm just kidding.
I wouldn't.
They're weirdos in a different way too.
Yeah. But it's more an emotional. It's because it's personal.
Right.
Music is always really, really personal. Accounting's not personal. So if somebody says you suck on stage, you take it personally because you're like, oh,
definitely.
I put my soul out there.
Even if 1,000 people say they loved you, and one person's like, yeah, your hair looks terrible tonight. You're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about this.
And you're going to obsess on that all night.
Yeah, you go home, you're like, shit, did I really screw that up? But like an accountant, if they said, oh, that figure's off, it's factual. So it's not, I don't know. It's just weird, the whole subjective nature of like getting into bands and what you like, what you don't like. And people think because they don't like something that they're right. So they'll say it to you like it's fact. You just like, okay.
Well, like your winger thing the other day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I watched it all the way, all 11 minutes and something odd seconds. Because winger is talented. And there are reasons that people said they sucked. One of which is he's just ridiculously good looking.
Yeah, that's one of them.
That's almost painful. But it's interesting how that built on a couple of jabs from Metallica or from
that's all it takes.
Butthead, and that's all it takes. And the guy is still going, as you said. And
still going strong. You should see some of the comments I've gotten for that video. It's crazy. Even today, this guy's like, "Ooh, real edgy of you to talk about a band that has proven themselves over time." I'm like, "Hey, I stood up for them since day one, but I didn't respond." I'm just like, I'm to the point where I don't respond.
How do you deal with that?
I used to really take it personally. But
I would too. I'd be like,
But it was funny because my early videos where I didn't have very many subscribers, I took everything like to heart. Like they must all know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And so I was like, then eventually I just realized, it's always going to be there. You could be I'm sure the Jeff Tate every day has to deal with shit like that.
Oh yeah.
It's just crazy. You're never gonna not have that at any level you're at.
No, it's still hard. I mean.
You have to laugh at it too, but you also have to know when to just. I delete comments sometimes.
Yeah, I do.
I don't want you to
pollute
my section.
Yeah, and you're half tempted to say, well, can you please submit your video of you doing this?
Yeah, a lot of people will come to your rescue and say that stuff, but these people are so good at what they do. You can't argue with them.
Yeah,
because as soon as you do, you're in their world, and they'll eventually just say something and just like disappear. And then if you prove that they're wrong, let's say it's a factual thing, they'll never respond back.
Of course not.
They'll just disappear. So.
No.
It's bizarre.
People feel empowered in their anonymity.
Yeah. And so when you call them out, you're right. You feel good for a second, but then overall you feel bad. So you're just like, I'm just going to not even
Acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Not waste the time on it. It's weird. I mean, even in the small cover band scene, you get that kind of stuff. So
I was going to ask you, do you get comments a lot from videos and stuff that you put out?
Oh, yeah, actually, and mostly very, very positive.
Yeah.
So, and I try not to put a video out that sucks.
That helps.
But, a lot of it is live, and you're getting ambient noise, and the drums are too loud, and,
Yeah, that
it's...
sound guy sucks. It's like,
Yeah.
no, this is from the camera.
This is from the camera. It was sitting here. Yes, we know we weren't able to EQ a lot of it. But I've been learning. I always think there's more to learn. There's always more to learn. If you think you've learned everything, then...
That's the problem, though. It's like sometimes these trolls have a point.
Okay.
So it's like, shit, they're right.
Okay, what would they be right about, though?
Well, my first viral video that got over 1 million views was because I put out a Metallica video teaching Enter Sandman.
Okay.
And right away, these guys were just like, dude, what a douchebag. You don't even know how it really goes. And I'm like, yeah, I've been playing this forever, And they go, watch this video of James playing it. And do you know the way to play Enter Sandman the right way with like your pinky?
I'm a singer.
Okay. I'll demonstrate.
Okay.
I actually have it Explorer here.
Okay.
So
Look at this.
I always played it like this with these two fingers starting
Okay.
out.
Yeah.
James plays it like this,
Oh.
which is bizarre. But I was in denial. I'm like, there's no way he plays it like that. So then I watched the video. And by the way, my other video had already gotten like 1,000 views somehow. So I didn't want to delete it.
Yeah.
It's like, shit, this is like my first big video. And then I realized I screwed up the riff. So I thought, okay, I either have to delete the video and like disappear forever, or I have to like put up like a retraction video, like where I admit that I screwed up.
Sometimes I'm in marketing. Sometimes those things get more.
So I do
views.
that.
Yeah.
I decide I can't sleep at night knowing this video's out there and I screwed it up.
Yeah.
These guys were so vile, though, telling me that I screwed up. And so I wake up the next day and I have just as many views on the new video as the old video already.
Okay.
100 comments. Everybody's like, dude, I'm subscribing now because somebody finally admitted that they were wrong about something. And from there, it snowballed and that became
Yeah.
1 million views.
There you go.
So would I have liked my first video to be me shredding some Van Halen? Yeah, but it's me going, dude, I screwed up. So
Sometimes that's the thing. That's the unique thing that draws them in.
yeah, because it makes you fallible and human, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I had a recent experience where big crowded local club, so it wasn't like I'm not playing the stadium, but I get off my ego riser and I just do a header. I went
you
completely
biffed it.
down. And you can hear my mic hit the floor. Boom. I
think I saw it.
I popped up. And
Yeah.
I'm good. And the drummer
Anybody
goes,
see that?
that looks like it hurt real bad.
Oh, they called it
no,
out.
it's good. I'm
Oh,
good.
jeez.
But
Which song was that on? I forgot. Was that at the
It
end
was
of the
Shout. I think it was Shout. We did
Okay.
Shout. Isley Brothers.
And did you shout when you hit the floor?
I went, well, wait a minute. And I mean, wait a minute. Because I
Perfect.
popped up right after that. And I'm like, oh, it's this part. But, and you have to make something out of it.
Yeah.
This is live performance.
Almost act like it was part of this.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
that.
And I could hear the guy with the camera going, did you see that?
Oh, God.
And he sent it to me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm posting it.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm posting it. Why not?
Put it out there. People love that
part of-
stuff.
That's That's why you go see live music, though.
Yeah.
Right?
When I saw Cyndi Lauper, she had all these mishaps, and she's like, it's live. What are you going to do? I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a professional attitude right
Yeah.
there,
Yeah. She's
But
not
did
stressing.
you see Post Malone fall through the stage?
No.
The stage opened up because nowadays stages have
Oh,
things
yeah.
that pop up. He falls and he cracks 3 ribs, and he just in the mic you just hear him going, "Oh God!" I'm like, oh, that would suck so bad. So at least he didn't have bodily injury.
No, I haven't had bodily injury. I mean, we were talking before. We have weird crowd stuff.
Yeah.
Not so much of the Queensryche stuff because those people aren't there to dance or get drunk. They're there to just study. They're there to stand there with their beer and just
That's
right?
high pressure.
That's high. It is high pressure.
They're watching your fingers because they know how to play it.
Totally. They're listening for a note. They're listening for a note, either a vocal note or a whatever their favorite thing is. So that's the pressure. But with the cover band stuff,
Yeah.
they're just drunk.
Yeah.
And I'm looking up and my shoe is no longer on the stage. I see this red 5-inch heel sparkles just sort of floating
Wow.
out there.
It was crowd surfing.
It was crowd surfing because I had changed shoes and somebody just swiped it and just started. And so I'm like, let's bring that back. And they're like handing it up to me. And the one drunk guy is like, walks it back up. And he said, what were you doing with it? Why did you? He goes, I was going to drink beer out of it. And I'm like, this is an open-toed shoe. There is no law of physics that would allow beer to be in there. So we've had our sign stolen right off the stage.
Yeah.
And it ended up at somebody's campsite.
Oh, my God.
And somebody mailed it back to us.
Whoa. So somebody, like, during a break went up and stole it?
It was like after our show.
Okay.
We were up at an Up North festival, and we had a big, it was like a 20, 30-foot sign.
Those
like
are not cheap.
Taped to the front of a really big stage. And I went to put it back, and I'm like, oh, somebody must have packed it already.
Just somebody swiped it?
Somebody swiped it.
Wow.
It's
ended up on eBay the next day.
But somebody called it into like the host venue and said, I've seen the sign.
Okay.
I saw the sign.
And it opened up their eyes.
And they opened up their eyes, and they were really embarrassed. And somebody anonymously brought it back to the venue, and the venue mailed it to me.
Wow.
I had to wipe all sorts of stuff off of it.
Like it was like $100 shipping, but here you go.
Yes.
Yeah, something about theft. I'm about to do a video on it, but
okay.
Hart just got 2 mandolins stolen or something, and it got returned. But something about losing your gear or your stage stuff, because as musicians, we're either buzzed or too trusting. So we'll just take a break. We'll go backstage and leave all our shit right out in front.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, there's a $2,000 guitar just sitting right there, you know.
Just sitting waiting. I think it's all proportional to the level of drunkenness of your audience.
That
If
too.
your audience is pretty chill, and like I would say more the tribute band audience, they're not as drunk. They're a little more studious and serious.
Yeah.
But your cover band, variety cover band crowd, I mean, some of my favorite people, because you can have a lot of fun with that. But at the same time, you're trying to get people. Just 2 weeks ago, we're trying to shove. Don't put your drinks next to this.
Right.
Right.
That's a bad
it's just,
one. Yep.
Oh, I hate that so
you have your
much.
pedal board or whatever right up there, and it's just like
We're just stressing, and I've got my little wireless component right there, and we're so stressed out by the end of it. Even though everybody was having a blast, it was a great payday because we got the door, you know. You're just like, I am so stressed. I just want to go
all my
home.
payday is going to go to fixing my pedal board.
To fixing my pedal board. You know, people are like, oh, look at that, and spilling beer.
I have a
on it.
video of us at Ziggy's, the one in Stillwater.
Yeah.
You probably played there.
No,
Oh.
you know why? Well, Queen of the Ryche is actually doing our acoustic set there on one of their open mic nights.
Cool.
But Sugarbuzz is like, we're too large.
Oh,
like,
yeah. The
Physical
stage
footprint.
is pretty small.
Yeah.
But it was like a roundish stage. And I have a video of a girl with this huge beer in her hand, and she's holding it from the bottom. So it's like tipping over. And it's right above my pedal board. You know, I'm like, there's $1,000 right there. She's just like talking to her friend, and nobody said anything to her. I was just hoping, because you don't want to be like yelling at the crowd. You know,
We've had to,
sometimes
though.
you have to, yeah.
We've had to. And I've made an announcement like, okay, everybody, you need to take your drinks back, because we've had some mishaps in the past, and we have, where equipment's ruined. And, you know, one of our bandmates is like, well, I'm in building maintenance. I can build like one of those pigeon things around it, you know, to make sure that people get poked. I'm
Oh
like,
my God, it's like
"Hey."
the Blues Brothers. All of a sudden, you have like wire all around you.
Country and Western. Yep.
Definitely.
Yep.
Yeah, there was one time where I was playing with this guy, and this lady was so drunk, and she was standing right in front of his microphone stand, and she fell over and knocked the stand right into his mouth, and his teeth were bleeding because the microphone was like right here. And then she knocked his keyboard to the ground. And it's just like it was a college town, you know. But yeah, you're pretty susceptible as the singer having that microphone right in front of your face.
No,
Like,
I have a chipped tooth.
Really?
I've had it repaired 3
From
times.
a Beta 58 or something?
Yeah, I'm still
Those
on
grills.
Sures. Yeah, it's yeah, and so oftentimes I'll do the thing,
the foam?
the foam, just
Okay.
because I'm clumsy.
That's a good idea.
And yeah, but I've chipped it like 3 times.
I saw somebody one time go up to take the microphone off, and they didn't realize that it got stuck, and they pulled it, and the jerking smacked them in the teeth.
I've done that with shakers.
Oh, okay.
When I auditioned for a band once, I was like, I can do percussive instruments.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They're like, I've never seen that technique before.
No.
Damn.
I mean,
Shit.
but those are the fun story. I mean, when we were talking about live music being live,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's the wild card of it
it's
all.
the wild card, and that's why it's fun to perform too, because you just anything can happen, and it does. It absolutely does.
Yeah,
So-
Carrie made a good point once. She's like, it's the danger of it all. Like, you could screw up really bad. like when we screwed up Magic Man. But then you remember those times.
Yeah.
And be like, that was kind of cool, actually, now that we've already, gone through the embarrassment of it all.
Yeah. Well, or do you have those moments where, and I've had this lyrically sometimes, where I'm like doing something and all of a sudden it's not coming to me, and it's not coming to me in like that second, that
last
millisecond,
second.
your hands find the right position, or the lyrics come to you and you're like, oh, thank goodness. And I
Yes.
think it is that the anticipation of what could go wrong, the danger is the
Yeah.
excitement. There's the adrenaline. That's why the adrenaline's going too.
If every show was predictable, I don't know if I'd want to play,
No.
unless it was just for the money or something. But it's like, I like that, looking over at the bass player and like somebody screwed up, we just laugh at each other, but nobody else really knows. It's that sort of thing that happens,
Yeah. You just make if you're in ears, you're just making faces at each other, or we've got one of the bands has a talk back to each other mic.
Okay.
So we can get in there and say, hey, I know you're checking out that girl in the front. Stop it.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. So we could just talk to each other.
So you just hear voices in your head. It's like somebody busted me.
Queen of the Ryche isn't there yet. I told them we could have one of those. I said we should have one of those, and they're like, we're gonna run out of channels.
There's levels to in-ears. Like, we never did in-ears, but it's one of those things where I think you could hear every little thing, right, in an in-ear. So it's like, but don't some bands put up like atmosphere microphones just to
Yes,
pick up the crowd a little
Sugarbuzz
bit?
does that,
Okay.
and so we can pick up crowd noise.
So you don't
I'm
feel
not popping them.
isolated?
Yeah.
Okay.
Queen of the Ryche, we haven't done that yet, and that was another thing that I'm like, oh, we should do that so we can get the feedback, because I'll hear it on video and I'm like, oh, people are applauding. Oh, that's great, because right now it just sounds like silence.
Like you're in a vacuum.
Yeah,
playing.
I do like mixing our own sound though too, because I can have a custom like, oh, okay, I need a little more of this.
Yeah,
or
that's
a little
good.
less of
You just
that.
do that on like your phone or an iPad.
Yep, on the phone. Yep, there's apps. There's apps for that, and in-ears take a while to get used to. But once, particularly as a singer, you don't want to go back because you don't find yourself ever over singing again.
That's what I hear.
compensate.
Yeah.
And it was funny because the folks at All Claire said your brain doesn't work as hard either. So you will find yourself going home from a show, if it's mixed right, that you're less tired because your brain is constantly trying to make sense in a wedge monitor.
Oh, I
Here's
didn't
my
think of
wedge
that.
mix, but my guitarist is standing right here and he's got his wedge mix that's kind of overpowering mine, and now I need to turn myself up, and now I need to discern noises. And so your brain works harder.
Yeah, it's always a balancing act, right? It's
Yeah.
trying to like, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, and I've found after a couple of years of doing them, like, yeah, I'm not as exhausted when I'm coming home. I just thought I was old, but I am old.
I thought
but
it was the 5 shots of whiskey.
it could be I don't drink until the last set,
Okay, that's a good way to go.
and then I do drink whiskey, bourbon.
Well, I'm trying to picture being Buzz playing Queensryche. That'd be tough.
Yeah, no, that one I don't. With Queensryche, then
After
especially
party.
if we're staying at a casino.
Yeah. Oh my God, those are dangerous. Those casino gigs.
Yeah,
You know, you
find
have a
yourself
room-
at 2 a.m. watching the Ocho and the cherry seed spitting contest. Yeah.
There's so many times at hotel gigs where you're just in the lobby, like, or in the restaurant area with
Yeah.
your band. You're just like, tomorrow's gonna suck.
It's totally, yes.
This is too crazy.
Was there recently, and it was, I mean, the gig was really fun.
Yeah.
And so when you're done, you're just like, oh,
Yep.
now I can have a good dinner, I can have a drink, I can.
Nobody's driving home.
Nobody's driving home.
have a
It's
room.
fantastic. And go find a diner in the morning.
Yep.
Get a greasy omelet
Something.
or whatever.
Yep. Which casino was it?
That was Turtle Lake.
Okay. We've done that before.
You've done
Yeah.
Turtle Lake before? That's a
Yeah.
nice one.
We had 2 of them. One was outdoor. The other
Oh,
was
that would be
indoor.
Hurdle, probably.
Hurdle, yeah. That's
I'm
right.
doing Hurdle with Trilogy this summer, but
That can be really cool if the weather cooperates.
if the weather
and everything.
cooperates,
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to handle that, but
What do you think? What do you guys think of like outdoor shows?
I stress about weather, but I love outdoor shows. I do love them, and Sugarbuzz clears its schedule in the summertime for only outdoor shows. That's all
Okay.
we do. Queen of the Ryche, we haven't done a ton of we're doing one this weekend, actually. We're doing the River's Edge Tribute Fest. By the time this airs, this might be over.
Oh, River's Edge. Okay.
River's Edge, and that's a first of its kind, and that's in Somerset. So
Yeah, that's a big deal, isn't it?
It is a big deal.
Okay.
We're really looking forward to it, and I'd like to do more outside because I like the vibe. I like the
Wait,
feel.
Somerset's like huge. Like we used to see Megadeth there and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. that
Yeah,
might be
it
Trout Air.
is. It is where you're thinking, because
Okay.
they said the stage is 50 by 50. I'm like, that's significant.
Yeah. Those in-ears are really going to help for that.
Really going to help, and we're setting them off to the side because we have like a 15-minute changeover. It's like insane, where you're just rushing on and
Yeah.
off for the next band. So it's all tribute bands.
Have you had any nightmares like switching up, like after you get done playing, like just the next band's being dickheads or something? Or usually pretty good about getting
They're
out?
usually
with that?
pretty good.
Okay.
The longer I've done this, the better it's become.
That's good.
actually. And I'm hoping I've become better too. That I'm not just do
Yeah.
waiting.
Or
you
your
know.
drummer's like not taking everything apart like meticulously.
Yeah, it's like get it off the stage.
Yeah.
My other band, we had to learn that lesson the other year. We weren't very good at it. And
Did you get
we
yelled
opened
at?
for Hairball, and we didn't know that.
geez.
And
Yeah.
they're like, "No, we got 2 stage hands for you. Get this stuff off now." We're like, "Oh, okay." So like, throw it in tub and go. Don't
Yeah.
like,
Don't tear-
deconstruct it.
Yes.
Go. It's a lesson you learn. We learned it.
Those bigger bands, their crew has no time for bullshit.
No, they don't.
And they let
no,
you
they
know it,
don't.
too.
And they let us know it, and that was the lesson we had to learn.
Yeah,
That's
it's-
okay.
It could be good because then you'll be at that level hopefully someday too.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't ever be a dickhead like that to somebody. I don't think.
Oh, I know it's
Like
hard.
we opened for Foghat, and there people were just about Jim, our drummer, had to set up the drum kit stage left. It was
Okay.
so
Oh.
weird. And then afterwards, they were grabbing our stuff and just getting it off that stage. So
And that's just terrifying. We had, speaking of weather, we played Midsummer Music Fest, and this was the top 40 band. And last song finishes, and the skies just open up. I
Yeah.
mean, and it is torrential. And there's 5 or 6 bands. There's like national acts, and they're all on risers, and there's drum kits just kind of floating around everywhere. And there's the tented place where there was shelter was maybe about half the size of your studio. So everybody's just throwing everybody's stuff into this tiny
jeez.
place. And we had to pick through it. We're like, our bass is like, I think I just lost my bass head. Like, I don't know where it is.
there's
Like,
12 of the same bass heads, right?
yes. And we're all looking and we're like, it was like this pickup sticks thing, and it took us like an hour or 2 to get our stuff
my
out.
God. And it's
half
all
of it's
wet.
waterlogged,
Yeah.
and everybody's just fighting for space.
How many
and
cables did you lose that day?
a lot.
Those get lost so
I
easily.
played a gig once where it was a Halloween party and someone dressed, this is not appropriate, as Aunt Jemima.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Like
And
the whole getup? Were they
the whole
Were
getup.
they black or did they blackface it?
They black-faced it.
Oh, okay. What year was this? Last year?
2014.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Yeah. And this was southern Minnesota, and brought syrup. They brought a big thing of
Oh,
syrup.
shit. I can see where this
And
is going.
yeah, and it ended up everywhere. 5 years later, we were still finding syrup on cables.
Oh, my God.
And that's buttery syrup. That's like
Yes.
the stickiest, butteriest
You
syrup.
just got to lick it off, I guess.
Right?
Jesus.
Well, this has been dragged through a bar floor.
Yeah, that's so gross because sand will get caught on it.
Oh, it was disgusting.
all
And-
over it.
And I've got a job, like when we set up for certain bands, like I've got my job, like I have to set up these things and whatever, and
Which
signage.
is good of you being a vocalist. 'cause
Yeah,
That's
I
not
help.
always the case. Yeah.
I help.
See, it can be done.
It can be done. Queen of the Ryche, I'm the signage gal. I'm the merch gal.
Security guard.
Kind of security.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, setting up the cables, I'm like, God, this is so
Yeah.
disgusting.
Even beer on cables can last forever. But have
And
you
it
ever taken a
smells.
cable and taken like a Kleenex wipe or a Clorox wipe and actually tried to clean it?
Yes.
After like 20 pulls, it's still black.
It's still
like, what
gross.
the hell?
It's just an excuse to sell more Clorox wipes.
That's probably it.
And I have a lot of them.
You should see when I go through my cables here, there's like a pile like in the middle of the floor of Clorox wipes. But I love them though. I use them for everything.
I do
except
too.
Obviously
The
for the
mics.
table. Yeah, everything has to be. I was going to ask you too about when you're singing in like a mic that if somebody else has been singing because you do those Route 47
The open
All-Star
mic
jams or
jams.
whatever.
Yeah.
And how are those going, by the way? Those look like
Those
fun.
are fun. I will say about open mic jams just in general, and there's a lot of them around the cities actually. It's really helped me think on my feet because somebody will be like, so and so didn't show up. You want to do this song? And I'll be like, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go listen to this out in the
Oh, you just learned at the last second?
Yeah, out in the lobby
Wow.
because I think I kind of know it. And I think it helps you think on your feet. I think it helps you recover from disaster.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times there are disasters and there are people of all sorts of different levels, like beginner to, super pro.
Oh, okay.
And so you're working with people and it's great exposure for your band and bands. Queen of the Ryche formed out of an open mic jam.
Oh, wow.
People saw each other and went, let's do a Queensryche tune. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, let's make a band now.
Yep.
Yeah.
You just attract the right people. You're like, you like Queensryche too? Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
And so I know of probably off the top of my head a dozen different bands that formed from open mic jams. And it pushed me to learn material I wouldn't normally. I was singing Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
I was singing King's X. I was doing Celine Dion, like other stuff that and I was mostly a Celine Dion type singer. And so when they're like, can you do this Iron Maiden song? And I'm like, I don't know.
I could do it like Celine Dion would
I could do it like Celine, but you want to give it the right treatment. Can you do Mob Rules by Black Sabbath? I'm like, let me listen.
Talk about like testing your range of not just range high or low, just like your range of sounds.
Yeah. Could I do something metal? Because I was very much in the pop rock kind of Journey, Katy Perry kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden the Megadeth thing came out because I was doing all sorts of crazy, because they're like, well, you can hit high notes. Try this one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sure. And
suddenly
it
you're
became
a metal
fun.
singer.
And
That's
suddenly
awesome.
I'm a metal singer. And it was
love that.
fun. It was super fun. So I have nothing but praise for open mic jams, because I think it gave the bands that I was a part of more exposure and more people wanted to see them. And then I just learned so much and continue to learn so much.
That's a really great thing, because people always ask, how do you get in a band? I can't find anybody. It's like, well, get decent at your instrument, join an open mic thing, and you never know who you're going to meet.
And you just talk to people. You end up talking to people and you have similar interests or whatever. I can't say enough about them. And I've got followers and fans from all over just the country for various projects, and they're just like, wow, your Minneapolis music scene is just insane. Why don't you come? I wish Florida I hear a lot. I wish the scene in Florida was like what you guys, your open mics are like better than half our
that's what I hear.
Band stuff.
I take for granted that we have so many great musicians here.
We do.
Because I was in like the indie Minneapolis scene for a while.
Okay.
But when I did that Ziggy's All-Star thing, it opened my eyes. Like there's a whole
the Pro Jam last year.
Yeah,
that was
I did
so
like
cool.
the Skid Row stuff, and the guy from Flip was there. Britton was there. He's gonna do a podcast here pretty soon.
Oh, nice.
But I was like, there's a whole nother world of musicians out there, because I was on stage. A lot of embarrassing things happen. Like I got my guitar head stuck in the singer's
Jake's hair.
Yeah, it was really weird. He's like, that happened. I'm like, oh shit. But I kicked into Dream Theater and everybody else started playing along. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Usually I kick into Dream Theater for sound check and everyone looks at me like
what?
It's so, I was like, there's different factions of musicians out there. And it's not one's better than the other. It's just, I was really surprised how talented everybody, it's just like high level stuff.
That was one of the funnest jams I think I've ever been a part of, because I got to meet so many people and just watch people in their sweet spot.
Yeah.
And
most of the time in their sweet spot.
Most of the time in their sweet spot, there's some funkiness.
Sometimes they're like, I never play Metallica, but here we go.
And that's the fun about a jam too. It's like, all right, well, okay, I'm going to do some Firehouse, and I don't know this song. And
yeah. It's funny. It was so weird. Last night I was listening to Firehouse.
Oh.
I was like, I wonder if we're going to talk about Firehouse. So
Overnight Sensation is one song that I really like.
I just realized their second biggest song, Reach for the Sky, was it?
Yep. I've sung that one.
Because their biggest song is their Love of a Lifetime, probably.
Love of a Lifetime, and then I think All She Wrote was another
that's
one.
right. God, they had a lot of...
Yeah, they actually had a lot of hits. And CJ Snare, before he passed, we got to see him at Midsummer in 2022.
You saw it before he died.
He was fantastic. Yeah. He still had the voice. He gives somebody like me like, okay, if I take care of myself, I can keep it.
Yeah.
I can keep it.
He looked like the kind of guy that didn't, get too crazy with like the bad stuff, if you will. Because those guys were super talented.
They were super talented. I didn't know a lot of their stuff until I saw them live. And that's why I like going to some of the festivals, because you just are like, oh, wow, I didn't think these guys were that good live.
Yeah, they're super tight. Almost like Winger, just really great musicians.
Yes.
And they just happened to do the hair metal hard rock thing.
Yeah.
Who did Bye Bye Baby? Was that them too?
Bye Bye. That's All She Wrote.
Oh, it is. Okay.
And it's the same
that's
song.
What I'm thinking
it's
of.
The same song. That's a chorus, I think.
Okay, okay. I do that with songs sometimes. I'll take like the pre-chorus and think that's the title.
That's the new song.
That's not it. Well,
yeah.
It's already 8 o'clock. Is it storming out?
I can't tell. Do you have windows?
The sky looks like it's dark.
It was. Checking.
Do you want to get in on this podcast? Got to make your introductions.
Okay, come on in here.
We finally have an audience member.
Yeah, there he is.
All right, what do I say?
Take the spot because
Yeah,
we're
take the
we're
spot.
about to sign off. I thought we'd all just do the SNL wave goodbye, but you guys
Howdy,
play in
howdy.
several bands together, or
We only have one band together.
Yeah, one.
That's gonna be the mega.
Megabeth. And what kind of tunes you guys doing again in Megabeth? Like the B sides, but
The popular bands you know, but not necessarily the songs that you know, or the songs that a lot of other bands cover.
I love that concept. That's super cool. So you're going to be playing bass?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Do you get to decide which songs to play as well?
Yes.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
somewhat of a democracy.
Yes, we work on that. We worked on that quite a bit together. The song list.
Okay, that's
So
good.
we'd put that together, and then we had worked with the other gentleman in the band, and
So you're
kind of
a-
went through the list and picked out which ones, put it to a bit of a democratic vote
That's
after
good.
that. And
It's hard to have a democracy in a band sometimes.
It
but
is.
If you could pull it off, it's great. Awesome. Well, let's sign off. We're going to go eat. So anything you guys want to promote or whatever?
Just watch the Art of Control.
Yes, and I'll put up a bunch of clips from everything we talked
You
about.
know,
So
Sugarbuzz, Queen of the Ryche, Hellion, Judas Priest,
so many great bands.
Megabeth Trilogy,
Megabeth Project.
Blue Rain, Rise Above Instinct.
Wow.
I think we're good on projects for a while.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
All right. Thanks.
That was fun. Thank you.